Welcome in, Bruins fans. Episode number 9 of the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast on Sports Illustrated with your host, Tom Cavanaugh. Today, we're going to be doing a little recap of this Bruins basketball win on Monday night, taking down the Boston University Terriers. Before we get into things, I want to give a shout out to Fans First Sports Network for allowing us to bring the content to you every single day on their stations. As well as Sports Illustrated, you can follow myself at TCAV30 on Twitter/X. And then go follow our insider page at UCLA Insider on SI. That's both on X/Twitter and Facebook. Get all the up-to-date breaking news content. We have all of our stories posted there. But if you want to go read everything from all of our fantastic writers, just type in UCLA Bruins on SI in your search bar and you'll find us immediately. So this Bruins team taking out some frustrations. They suffered a very crushing loss, disappointing to the New Mexico Lobos last Friday night. Lost by 8 points. They had 21 turnovers, did not share the ball all that well, just had one scorer in double figures, and they got right tonight, winning 71-40 over Boston. A game that they came into expecting to play well, not blow them out by 31 by any means, but I mean, they handled business, and that's what you needed from a team that's coming off a loss. UCLA was ranked number 22 in the country last Friday night, and since the updated rankings came out after their upset loss, they're out of the top 25, and they definitely took out some of those frustrations on the Terriers tonight. Went the final 4.5 minutes, not allowing Boston to score. A 30-plus point win, always good to see. They beat Rider by 30-plus in the first game of the season. So there were a few different areas of improvement that were definitely harped on by head coach Mick Cronin, and he saw it from his guys over the course of the night. I mean, you look up and down the stat sheet when it comes to just pure scoring, you had 3 guys today in double figures, which is much better than just Tyler Bilodeau with 23 against New Mexico. I mean, it was tough for him to get it done all by himself. Today was much different. Eric Daly Jr., the Oklahoma State transfer, he's a guard/forward slasher in the middle there. He had 13 points. Lazar Stefanovic, he had 13 as well. Lazar was sweet from 3. He was 3 of 5 shooting, 4 of 7 overall. He was taking a lot of threes and knocking them down. But other than that, only 2 other threes made for this UCLA team. We'll get into those team stats a little bit later. They did not shoot well from 3, but they found the points in the paint. Give 12 points to Sebastian Mack. This is a guy that was under fire a little bit in the post-game comments from Mick Cronin after the New Mexico game. Go on UCLA Bruins on SI to read that story from Cronin talking about after their loss. And Sebastian, I mean, he really harped on him because of his turnovers. The sophomore guard needed to play better, and Sebastian did. He was 3 of 5 shooting from the field, hit 1 of 2 threes. As we mentioned, finished with 12 points, 2 assists, and the big stat, 0 turnovers. So he handled the ball extremely well. Give Sebastian Mack some credit. He had a few very bright spots last season, had some 20-point ball games. He's in a bigger role this year, going to have to handle the ball at the top of the key along with guys like Sky Clark, the junior transfer, freshman Trent Perry, several others, Dylan Andrews as well. So a nice day from Sebastian, being able to respond like that. I mean, that's what you want out of one of your younger guys in his first couple of years of college basketball is, Cronin is not going to sugarcoat things. He's not a coach that's going to baby you. He is going to tell you what you're doing wrong and what's hurting the team, and you got to fix it. And boy, did Sebastian do that. So I got a lot of respect for Sebastian just to immediately respond like that and make those adjustments. He's going to have a heck of a year. I can already feel it just from that quick of a response, putting together 0 turnovers, handling the ball well, and finding 12 points at that. So 3 guys in double figures is great. When you look at the rebound sheet there, Adai Mara, the 7'3" center, he was all over the boards, had 7 total, 4 on the offensive glass. He also chipped in with 7 points. William Kyle, he had 7 points, 6 rebounds as well. Those 2 guys were really the big, beefy guys in the paint. Kind of a quiet day for Tyler Bilodeau. The one who scored 23 against New Mexico last week, he just had 6 points. He was 3 of 8 shooting. Didn't take a whole lot of shots. He had 3 rebounds and just 1 assist as well. So a quieter day, but that's good to see for this Bruins team because if you can still put up 71 points, I know they played a lesser opponent today, a team in Boston that was 0-2 coming in, lost to Northeastern and San Diego. They had a rough go of it to start the year. UCLA capitalized on that. But back to my point, the fact that you had scoring from other parts of the team, something that did not happen against the Lobos, That's great to see, because you look down the stretch when you're in a tough Big Ten game against Rutgers or Indiana or Michigan State or Purdue, and Bilodeau, I mean, probably your top scorer to this point at least. If he's not having a good game, you need other guys to pick him up. And boy, you got guys like Kobe Johnson, Eric Daly, Lazar Stefanovic, Sebastian Mack, so many others on this team, because Mick Cronin's got one of the deepest groups that he's had in his 6 years as the Bruins head coach, and maybe one of the deepest groups in the entire Big Ten Conference. So it's great to see this team being able to pick up where their big stars are not having as good of a game. That's no knock on Tyler either. I mean, he had to be happy that other guys were coming out dropping 12, 13 points, which is great. But when you see the distribution like that, that was probably the biggest improvement besides the turnovers that the Bruins needed to fix coming into their next game. So finding a way to get other guys involved. Kobe Johnson, 6 points. We mentioned Bilodeau with his 6. Trent Perry had 3. Sky Clark had 4 as well. We already talked about Mara and William Kyle III. Everybody played pretty well tonight, and it was distributed between the entire team. 9 of the 11 players that logged minutes tonight did score. And you look at the turnover spot, 15 turnovers, not great, especially against this Boston team. I mean, there were several guys that had multiple turnovers that just can't happen. I think Kobe Johnson had several. I mean, he had 4. Another 2 from Kyle, another 2 from Bilodeau. Eric Daly had a pair. So when you look at it, 15 turnovers is kind of a lot against this Boston team, but it's an improvement. You had 21 against the Lobos last Friday. You bring that number down. You play Lehigh later this week. Bring that number even lower. Now, forcing turnovers, I mean, that's all UCLA did today. Over half of their points were scored off of turnovers. They had 34 points off of TOs tonight. They had 28 total forced turnovers. So, I mean, Boston was just suffocated for most of the game, only able to muster 40 points total. So UCLA handled business. They executed when they had to, forced a lot of turnovers, a lot of hands in the passing lanes, did not give up many offensive rebounds as well. They grabbed 36 total rebounds, 11 on the offensive glass, had a lot of putback buckets. They had several points in the paint as well, upwards of 30 points in the paint. And it kind of leads me to my next point here. This UCLA team did not shoot well from three-point range. We mentioned Stefanovic hitting 3 of 5, but they were 5 of 22, just 22.7% from beyond the arc. It's not going to get it done against better teams. But when you have such size inside, guys like Bilodeau, Kyle III, Mara in deep, you can find ways to score without having to shoot the 3-ball all that well. There's a lot of teams in college basketball that rely on the 3-point shot to be successful. That is not this Bruins team. They're going to be just fine if they do not shoot well from 3, which is what they did tonight, and still won by 31 points because they had 11 offensive rebounds. When they missed the 3, they had 2 or 3 guys crashing the boards, something that Cronin really harps on in practice, is being able to have 4 or 5 guys in on a rebound and then put it back up for another bucket. So Bruins, I mean, they played well. They did what they should have done. You play a Boston team, blow them out by 30. You handled business. You executed the way you should have. Now, you have to look at it from an optimistic perspective in this case because this team had been struggling over their last game. They're only 3 games into the season. There are some early kinks that are going to be worked out. But being able to see that game-to-game improvement is great. I know they played 2 completely different teams. New Mexico was a tournament team last year that won their conference tournament in the Mountain West. Boston, they finished 16-17, same record as the Bruins last year, but they're in the Patriot League. So you did what you needed to do. You saw some improvements in some areas. The 15 turnovers still sticks out to me as something that needs to be brought down a little bit. But as the season goes on, teams always get better throughout the year. So they have another 3 weeks until it comes Big Ten time to play some games against the likes of Washington, USC. They're going to go out east, play teams like Michigan State, Indiana, all top programs, Purdue as well. Those are the games where they need to be buttoned up when it comes to not allowing turnovers, having the 3-point shot get there and bring them some clutch buckets in tight games, and then also dominate the paint. So a good win for the Bruins tonight. We're going to have coverage and kind of a cleanup over the next couple of days, looking at some post-game comments from coaches and players, and then prepping for their game against Lehigh That's going to be a little bit later this week at Pauley Pavilion, another home game for the Bruins, and they're looking to improve to 3-1 and continue to improve in those aspects that were really exposed in the New Mexico game. This has been the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast with your host, Tom Cavanaugh. Glad to be with you again for another week of Bruins athletics. We got football coming up as well. They're taking on Washington this week. Going to have everything for you from that as well. So long, everybody. We thank you so much for listening. We'll see you again tomorrow.